Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're all well on this marvellous Monday. That's it. Marvellous. Absolutely marvellous. And you're looking marvellous. You need to let me know what your secrets are. Now, we're going to get into some meat and potatoes because I saw something. Now, this is video 2, by the way. Video 2 of 3. We did a live, then this, and we're going to be touching on Caleb Harris again later and looking at the situation with the potential secret meet-up that has caused a bit of a stir on social media. And some other kind of accusations in the background regarding the searches and GoFundMe accounts that some people are starting to look at. But anyway, as of now, we're talking about a potential fucking idiot. And that is Bryan Kohberger. Because I saw something yesterday. It was a little post, and it said, "Do not confuse education with intelligence. Someone can have a PhD and still be a fucking idiot." And I think it's important for us to understand that if you're someone who has been sort of penned as a guilter, then what you're basically saying is Bryan Kohberger's a fucking idiot. Because that's what he would have had to have been to have done this crime, surely. So let's just touch on that for a second and we'll conclude out later my thoughts and feelings on this. Because let's look at the crime itself, right? We look at the crime. Now this is trying to vibrate on my end. So let's look at the crime. So this guy, what we're sort of been led to believe is he gets up on this Saturday or early Sunday morning after a football match, and he just decides, fuck it, I'm going to get in a car and I'm going to go out and do this crime. But he must have prepped his car. So what was it? Did he around when he was driving around, did he drive around and prep his car? I mean, wrap the thing inside all in plastic? Because that would seem to be how he would have escaped leaving any form of DNA whatsoever in his car. So he's driving around in a car that sticks out like a sore thumb, a white car, his own car, and he heads over to Moscow, Idaho. And he heads into this estate. And we've touched on it before, this ain't nothing new. But he cruises into this estate in a car that's lightly wrapped in plastic, and he's driving around, and he gets to this house. And then he sees these cars outside, all of these cars outside, that at least one of them's unfamiliar, but there's a few cars that would seem to point out that there's a few people inside this house. And he gets out with his K-bar, not attached to him, in his hand, in the sheath, and he proceeds over to the house. And he gets into the house by either, I don't know how, he must have known that the door was going to be unlocked, because we've said this before, he didn't seemingly have a crowbar, knife in a sheath, prise the door open or anything like that. Or did he think he was going to have to prise open? That's why it was in his hand. But anyway, I'll digress. But he's got into this house and he's done this crime. He's parked his car, a few yards away from the house, and he's gone in there, done the crime, left the witness, left his sheath, because obviously it won't attach to him. He's holding it in his hand, and he's done it. And he's got in his car and he's cruised off. Like I say, leaving behind a witness and the sheath and that. And you would think to yourself, he's got to have been a bit of a fucking idiot to have done this, isn't he? Because, again, to drive your own car, this is my opinion, by the way, to drive your own car, because in amongst all this as well, what he's done is he's turned his phone off. So that doesn't look fucking suspect, does it? Turned his phone off, driven his own car, seemingly followed a DoorDash driver, basically from his Nelly to Moscow, and arrived at the house near enough the exact same time. And he's gone into that with seemingly a weapon that he is not great with, or wasn't great with, unless he had some form of training in how to use the weapon. I can't really get into bed with this mentality I can't get into this, and even though that statement resonates with me, it does. Do you know what I mean? I get that. I hear people all the time saying the book smart, street smart, book smart, street stupid kind of situation, and they kind of try to paint Bryan Kohberger with that book, and I think they do because it is the only thing that makes sense. Is that this well-educated individual was simply a fucking idiot. So when it came to the practical, so to speak, he was good with the writing, he just weren't great with the practical work. And that's where it all fell on its face. Or he got in there and got out of his depth. But I can't fully get on board with this. And I'll tell you for why. Because at the heart of this crime, it wasn't a stupidly done crime. There is a lot of technical details that proves that whoever done this crime was not stupid. Was not stupid at all. Because they have gone into this house that could have been full of people, but seemingly they knew it weren't. They couldn't have known that they were walking into a house with a load of people, or they were pretty confident that that's not the case. So you have to ask yourself, well, how did they know that? How did they know that they were going to be able to get into the house? And how did they know they were going to get into the house and not be met by multiple people? That's not stupidity, unless, again, you assume that he went in there with the belief that that was a potential for him to walk into that house and be met with multiple people, then get out of his depth. But he goes into this house, and not only that, but he seemingly knows exactly where to go. The abundance of rooms in that house doesn't matter to him because he knows what rooms he's going to, and seemingly knows who's in those rooms, in my opinion. And all of a sudden, this guy, armed with just this supposedly K-bar weapon, dispatches relatively swiftly 4, I would say, able-bodied individuals, especially one in particular, being Ethan Chapin. And I am going to come back to Ethan Chapin tomorrow, because I actually believe, the more I've thought about this case, the more I've been involved in this case, that Ethan Chapin may have been the target, and in fact, the rest of them were fallout. The rest of them were just collateral. And it was indeed Ethan Chapin. And is there loads of evidence around this case that points to the fact that Ethan was indeed the original target, and the rest, again, were just collateral? But was Bryan Kohberger truly just a fucking idiot? Do you truly believe that that's enough to fit him into doing this crime, just to turn around and say, yes, he was academically gifted, if you like, but when it came to the practical work, he just simply didn't have the skills needed? But then again, as aforementioned, the attacks, the murder, the skill required, the ability required, the mental resilience required doesn't point to someone who was virginal in this area, in my opinion. And that's what I struggle with. I get the point of that statement, but does that statement fit in the Idaho 4 crime? The crime itself? Let me know down below. Was Bryan Kohberger just a fucking idiot, and that's what got him caught? Or does the intricacies of what actually happened that night, and the skill, the speed, the stamina that must have been, held by the person who did it, does that just point away from someone being a fucking idiot and actually someone who knew what they were doing? or they had help doing what they were doing? Again, let me know down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one.